Eugenic societies formed in Germany in the 1920s. Eugen Fischer, an internationally respected geneticist, became the leading exponent of Nazi racial ideas in the 1930s. Leading German eugenicists joined the Nazi Party and became Nazi Party officials. Most eugenics associations turned into official German governmental agencies under the Nazis. Prior to the rise of Hitler, Karl Binding and Alfred Hoche advocated euthanasia. In 1920, they wrote The Release and Destruction of Lives Devoid of Value, that favored eliminating useless people. The defeat of Germany in World War I suggested to German eugenicists the need for the biological renewal of the German population by removing the unfit that polluted the German blood. In 1923, under the Weimar Republic, the Ministry of the Interior considered a sterilization law. The German embassy in the United States inquired about American sterilization laws. While the American example was considered in the 1920s, it was not enacted and implemented until the Nazi Party took power in 1933. With the Nazis in power, they added an element of sacrifice. People should be willing to give up the lives of relatives and their own lives for the good of the purity of the German blood and the German state. Germany would enact mass euthanasia as German policy in September 1939. Eugenics evolved into mass murder in Germany once World War II began with the German invasion of Poland. In July 1933, Germany enacted the Law of the Prevention of Genetically Diseased Offspring. This allowed the sterilization of individuals with hereditary diseases, feeble-mindedness, epilepsy, blindness, deafness, alcoholism, and insanity. Children of mixed marriages or sexual relations with non-whites fitted into the criteria for sterilization. 500 to 700 children of German women and French colonial African troops stationed in Germany in the early 1920s, while France occupied the Rhineland, were sterilized. In March 1935, a meeting of the Advisory Committee for Population and Racial Purity and the Ministry of the Interior took place. Most of those present favored sterilization, but feared that since most of those to be sterilized appeared healthy, regular doctors might raise objections. The committee decided that they would need Nazi Party reliable doctors to perform the procedures. Some mixed-race children had already been sterilized between 1933 and 1937, but the German government organized the roundup of any mixed-race children living in Germany for immediate sterilization. Actually, American eugenicists would have supported the German policy. From 1933 to 1945, Germany sterilized 400,000 people. About 3/4 had been sterilized prior to 1939. Hereditary health courts selected the candidates, and 200,000 people were sterilized from mid-1933 to the end of 1937. Protestant churches supported the 1933 law and the principles of eugenics, but they favored voluntary rather than mandatory sterilizations. However, the Vatican and German Catholic bishops opposed sterilization from 1933 onwards. While the Catholic Church expressed opposition, it did not attempt to stop sterilizations once the policy was implemented, because of the Vatican's accommodation with Hitler to protect the Catholic Church in Germany. Churches looked the other way at mandatory sterilizations. Sterilizations increased because most German doctors proved quite willing to nominate the candidates. In 1934, 62,000 sterilizations were authorized. In 1935, over 70,000 were completed, and in 1936, about 65,000 were sterilized. The problem that developed was more people qualified for sterilization than there were doctors to perform the procedure. Patients in state hospitals and nursing homes became special targets of the Nazi eugenics policy. Legislation like the marriage health law forbade the marriage of people with hereditary diseases, feeble-mindedness, and contagious diseases, paralleling American marriage laws. Once war began, the German government only sterilized about 75,000 to 100,000 people because German policy shifted toward euthanasia. Murdering people eliminated the problem of the unfit.